What's up, everybody? Hope you enjoyed your long weekend and are now in back to school mode. I'm so excited because tonight is the official kickoff to the NFL season. But have you ever seen one of these? It's called a Guardian cap, and this season you may see some of your favorite NFL players take the field with this headgear. For the first time during regular season games, the league will allow players to wear protective caps to help protect against head injuries. Now, the caps aren't new. They were actually introduced during training camps and off-season back in 2022. And starting this past offseason, every position except quarterbacks, kickers, and punters had to wear the cap. Maybe you've seen one on this guy on the Chiefs during preseason practice.
I can't see with this thing on!
The number of concussions in training camp has dropped in recent years, and the NFL believes the usage of Guardian caps is a big reason why.
I don't care if a player's here for a day or a decade, right? We want them to take the field with the best, safest equipment we can put them in.
But unlike in training camp, using the cap is not a rule. Players can choose whether they want to wear the cap or not. But we asked on Instagram if you thought players will wear Guardian caps this season. And check it out, it's almost split down the middle. 51% say yes, 49% say no. But we want to know, what do you think of players wearing protective caps during the regular season? Do you wear them for your teams? Let us know what you think at hi@firststopnews.com. The US Open has been happening over the past few weeks in Queens, New York. Tonight is the women's semifinals and tomorrow the men's. And the finals are this weekend. The Open is the final major tournament of the tennis calendar.
If you're not lucky enough to attend the tournament in person, you can watch the match on TV, which is a big clue about our question of the day. Fun fact, in the past, tennis balls were either black or white.
So why are tennis balls now yellow? Wait for it.
Because they're easier to see on TV. In the early 1970s, networks had to change from broadcasting in black and white to color. And when that happened, the neon balls really popped on the screen. The International Tennis Federation even looked into it. They did a study that found that the bright shade of yellow made it easier for the viewers to follow the action. The yellow hue is actually called optic yellow. Optic is all about vision or the eye.
I don't know about you, Kelsey. These always seem green to me.
I think we should just agree they're yellow.
The Olympics might be over in Paris, but the Paralympics are just getting started and they're happening at the same venues across the city. The Paralympics are for athletes with disabilities. The athletes are classified by physical, visual, and intellectual impairment. Each event has a letter and a number, and the letter refers to the type of event, like T for track, and the number refers to the impairment type. They officially started in 1960 and they're also held every 4 years. Almost 4,500 athletes will compete in 23 sports. Here are some of the highlights so far. JC Simon and Miles Krosky took home silver in badminton. It's the first medal for the US in Paralympic and Olympic history, and they're both only 19 years old. In wheelchair rugby, the US won its 7th consecutive Paralympic medal. They took home the silver, losing to Japan in the final. It's a co-ed sport, but the US has never had a woman play until this year when Sarah Adam made the team. Another first, the refugee team won its first ever medal at the Paralympics. A woman from Afghanistan named Zakia Kudadadi took home bronze in Taekwondo. And on the track, American Ezra Freck won gold in the men's 100 meter. The crazy part, sprinting actually isn't even Ezra's best sport. His main event is the high jump, where he also took home gold this week.
I, 3 days ago, was not a Paralympic champion, and now I'm a 2-time Paralympic champion, and I have 2 really heavy gold medals on my neck that are causing me neck pain right now, and I'm just in awe of the moment and everything that's happened.
So far, China has the most medals, followed by Great Britain and then the United States. The games end with the closing ceremonies this Sunday.
Let's talk lunch. Over the next few years, school lunches may start to look a little different. The USDA, the folks in the federal government who create laws about farming, forestry, and food, have made some changes to how meals are going to be prepared. And it's all going to be rolled out in phases. Let's get into them. First, added sugars will be limited in meals for the first time. These are added in the process of making food and don't occur naturally. If you look at the ingredients on a nutritional label, added sugars are the things like sucrose, dextrose, concentrate from juices, and more. A change like this will affect cereal and yogurt starting in the 2025 school year. If you're interested in a deeper dive about food labels, like this video. Second, sodium, the amount of salt in foods, is going to be gradually reduced. Starting in the summer of 2027, lunches will see a 15% decrease from the current limit, and breakfast will see a 10% decrease. Third, chocolate milk. It'll still be served, but with new requirements. Starting July 1st, 2025, flavored milk sold at schools will have to meet the new sugar requirements. Now, why is all of this happening? It's part of a government effort to provide students with healthy, balanced, and nutritious meals. And one more thing about food, starting this fall, some schools will be able to buy from their local farmers. So, if you could change anything about your school menu, what would it be? You better let us know at hi@firststopnews.com.
All right, whatever you're eating for lunch, you know the one thing you can't do, at least while you're at school, or if you're in a restaurant, you probably don't want to do it at somebody else's house, and you really shouldn't do it at home either, is have a food fight. But do you know where it is okay to throw around a whole lot of food? Buñol, Spain. More than 22,000 people got together to take part in La Tomatina, an annual tomato tossing tradition. It's a tomato tossing tradition. Tomato tossing tradition. Tomato tossing tradition. Yeah.
We're gonna go make some spaghetti to have with that tomato sauce.
It's not 100% clear why or how the whole thing started, but the first recorded one happened in the 1940s during a festival that honors the town's patron saint. And now the festival doesn't happen without it. There are official rules. Respect others. Squash tomatoes before throwing. Only throw tomatoes. Listen to officials. And most importantly, have fun. It's always the last Wednesday in August, and truckloads of red, juicy tomatoes pour into the streets to get stomped, hurled, smashed, squished, and tossed all around. And get this, a few days earlier, there's a La Tomatina just for kids. Goggles are recommended, and I would also recommend a towel and some clean clothes too. We have an update on the war in Gaza between Israel and Hamas. 1 week ago, Israeli forces rescued a hostage from underground tunnels in Gaza. He was one of 8 members of Israel's Bedouin Arab minority that was taken on October 7th. But over the weekend, Israeli soldiers found 6 hostages, including an Israeli American, killed by Hamas in the tunnels. Hundreds of thousands have been protesting since the weekend for the Israeli government to find a way to bring the hostages home. The war in Gaza has been going for almost a year. Of the 250 hostages taken by Hamas on October 7th, about 100 are still being held in Gaza. 105 were released during a temporary ceasefire last November, and 8 others have been rescued by Israeli forces. Palestinian authorities have said that more than 40,000 Palestinians have been killed since the start of the war. The US has been trying to broker a deal between Israel and Hamas to end the war, but the talks have stalled. Hamas wants Israel to completely withdraw from Gaza and end the war, but Israel has said they will not stop until Hamas is out of power. And Pope Francis is on a 12-day trip through Asia. It's his longest overseas trip. The leader of the Catholic Church started his trip in Indonesia and travels to Papua New Guinea, East Timor, and Singapore this weekend. He goes back to Rome next week. He's talked about the need for action on environmental issues, a topic that's not just important to the cities he's visited, but it's also a cause he's discussed throughout his papacy. The 87-year-old is traveling around in a wheelchair because of knee and back pain. And tonight is the kickoff to the NFL season, where we're getting an AFC Championship rematch. The Baltimore Ravens are taking on reigning Super Bowl champs, Kansas City Chiefs.
Which means I must shout out Truman Jones, my friend who was on the Kansas City Chiefs.
Right on. Truman, we hope you're watching, and we hope we see you next week right here on First Stop News. They do look a little yellow under this.
They do.